All right, so I had a visceral reaction to when I looked down and read some of these texts.
Yes, you did. Thought you were upset with me.
Colin in Ann Arbor writes, Holmes has a great track record in the draft, and sure, he's made a few decent free agent signings, but I can't think of a decent trade he's made. Maybe this isn't where he's strong. He traded Matt Stafford to the Rams for an MVP caliber quarterback, 2 firsts, and a third. And you can't think of a decent trade he's made. Maybe you forgot that one. The one that set them up for the successful run. That if they win a Super Bowl is probably the moment that kickstarted the rebuild. Was that a decent trade? When he traded back in the draft and still got Jahmyr Gibbs. Was that a decent trade?
I mean, the trades he made on draft day, he does a lot of maneuvering on draft day, and I haven't been terribly upset with that. He was on the job for 2 weeks. Not even, well, it was just barely 2 weeks before he had to make the Stafford trade. Stafford was traded on January 30th. Holmes was hired on January 14th. So literally 2 weeks later, he had to trade Stafford. I don't get that. I think what it is people were upset last year at the trade deadline that they didn't make a move for a defensive end or an edge rusher. That's what they were upset about.
Of course they are. They're still complaining about it to this day.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's what it is. And they forget about everything else that's happened. Maybe he's had a free agent signing here or there. I mean, you can argue that the free agents he's brought in have not been great. I think he's been a lot of hit and a lot of miss.
I think you can argue that he doesn't bat 1,000.
No, well, certainly not. And I think the free agent route we saw that when he first got here, the wide receivers he brought in did nothing for the team. It's kind of been an Achilles heel a little bit, but at the same time, he's also picked up Tim Patrick off the scrap heap, and that seems to have worked out. He traded for Josh Reynolds, that worked out, and we know he can draft.
He signed Josh Reynolds.
Signed.
Yeah, he signed Josh Reynolds off the street.
But it was
off the street.
Like a trade deadline thing, though. But it was right in the middle of the season, I guess is what I was saying. So, yeah, I think this is a reaction to what happened last year.
Then there's this coming to the Karsch and Anderson inbox. Guys, Brad Holmes needs to get a deal done ASAP. Quote, this is from a texter. It's gross negligence on his part that nothing has happened yet. This is ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I would say that, and even if let's say nobody has moved at the trade deadline, if there are no edge rushers moved in the National Football League at the trade deadline, I would go into that camp and say it's ridiculous. You need to make something happen, because I think this team desperately needs to make something happen. If they had Aiden Hutchinson, you could convince me otherwise, but they don't. They don't have Marcus Davenport, and now they don't have Aiden Hutchinson. They don't have an edge rusher that creates pressure. But I'm not going to fly off the handle until we get to Tuesday at the deadline and it passes and the Lions don't pick somebody up. If they don't pick somebody up, then I'm not going to be happy about it. I think you're putting a Super Bowl caliber team at risk of not getting there if you don't do something. But you can't say it now. From a strategic standpoint,
dude, it's gross negligence that it hasn't happened yet, according to this guy.
That's what I'm saying. You can't say that right yet. They won the game last week. They won last week, but without making a move. They won the week before without making a move.
I mean, look, and sure, this is a bigger game, and it'd be cool to have somebody, but you're not going to win every game. They're not winning every game from here on out. First of all, prepare yourself for that. When I see the term gross negligence, to me, that's a fireable offense. If your team does something that's, quote, gross negligence, now maybe he doesn't look at it use that term with that kind of weight, but how about this one? Brad Holmes won't make a deal because he's arrogant and he thinks his guys will step up so they don't need help, just like last year. Do we have a good football team here?
Yes, but fans want to add to that team for this year.
That's okay, but gross negligence, arrogant. Like, why are we calling the best GM we've ever had using these terms when You haven't seen him even what he's going to do yet.
Well, that's the thing. It's the preemptive strike, and don't do the preemptive strike. It's unnecessary. Tuesday, you can save your vitriol for Wednesday's show if they don't do anything, right?
But the amount of competence this guy's operated with to go straight to gross negligence and arrogant and not give him the benefit of the doubt is absurd.
But they're forming an opinion on what could happen. All right, I wouldn't look too much at the ASAP stuff and say he's got. I know, but you're reading it literally, and I get it. Okay, but if you were to get these people into cross-examination and say, "What if they wait till Tuesday? Are you okay if they make a move Tuesday?" and then they would say yes. Okay, so go under the assumption that it's nothing happens after Tuesday.
Fair enough. This guy literally has said the words are, "It hasn't happened yet. It's gross negligence. Nothing has happened yet."
Well, you can't do something now because it's Thursday. I mean, you can, I suppose, but you're not likely to add a player. We're not going to see a whole lot of. I don't imagine we're going to see any players traded until Monday at this point, because teams are in prep work for the games on Sunday.
Now, if you're expecting Max Crosby and it's gross negligence if you don't get it, then you're going to think he is gross negligence because they're probably not getting Max Crosby. And they're probably not getting Myles Garrett.
They're not getting Myles Garrett.
I mean,
and they're not getting Max Crosby. Neither player is available.
I think that just speaks to how frustrated fans are, Doug. And I know you're reading it literally, and I think Gator's more right than wrong as far as if they make a trade, at least before the trade deadline, those fans will calm the F down. They will. Right now, they're enraged because maybe they want that guy here now so he get more acclimated with the system, with his teammates, the coaching staff, all that stuff.
Beat Green Bay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not going to say – I mean, obviously you don't think it's criminal if Brad Holmes doesn't make a trade, but should he be thrown in jail if he doesn't make a trade, guys? No, of course not.
Well,
but
I think they'll calm the F down, but there's a caveat to that. If they make a trade and it's somebody who you think is of no consequence, like if they just add like an Isaiah Thomas type player, if that's the trade that's made, something like that, then I think fans will freak out again. But if they were to add a Trey Hendrickson, everyone's going to calm down. If it's Darius Smith, people calm down. Khalil Mack, people calm down. But if it's Arden Key, I mean, some will calm down because of the recency bias of what he did to the Lions, but in his career he hasn't been special. If it's
Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, I'm not going to be thrilled if it's Jadeveon Clowney because he can't play the run, and he really hasn't ever been a great pass rusher in the league. But I'd be happier.
But is it better than nothing?
It's better than nothing. I think.
Because right now they started Muhammad from someone else's practice squad. That's what they started last week.
Yeah.